Is it okay if I record?
Yep.
Hello, let me just get a light.
Hey, how you feeling?
Still a bit under the weather, but getting better.
Was it COVID or what is it?
I have no idea. I've never had anything like it. It was mainly just low energy with the usual kind of like earlier symptoms, but it just wouldn't go away. But it's getting better. Hey, Shane.
Hi, Elijah. Nice to meet you, and glad you're feeling better. Don't know what your ailments were, but getting better is always good.
I hate being sick.
So Shane is with Warmspace. So Warmspace is something that you sign into, and then it's like a guided conversation.
I saw it. You have values and concepts, right? Looks like you choose a value, choose a concept, and then use that as a reference point.
Well, no, but it's guided. So it starts
Okay.
out, it says, hello, okay, you're going through this, and okay, let's do a grounding period. And then it's a guided meditation between the two of you. It's okay, now Elijah, pick a card and then read what's on the card and listen to the other person. And then they do the opposite. And then, okay, there are all these words, pick a word. And then why did you pick the word and explain it? And then, okay, now compliment the other person on whatever. And so it's like a guided conversation that they have. Okay. So Shane, Elijah spent the last 15 or so years studying how people communicate and the different modalities in which people communicate.
Lovely.
And he's gamified it.
Let me just sort of get something here that links in, I think, what you're doing. Cool. This is an output from a divination program, and it has the basic spell, which I think is like value, combo type, and then a concept that's in a larger, it's called the inflow matrix, but it's basically an operating system to run a business that goes from the inner you to the outer you to the inner group to the community. So it has 4 levels that link to Ken Wilber's work, if you know that. And so this is just basically ask any question and you get this output. But what I found was divination creates the stimulation to create conversation. So I actually have game boards where you sit at the table and a card set called the conscious communication card set, where you ask a question and you turn the cards over. So it's similar to what you have in card form.
No, but what we would like to do, Shane, it would be to explore a collaboration or take a Warmspace. So they have, Shane, Elijah, Shane can walk you through this sometime, but we could take their platform and design flows. So we could do your whole conversation. Elijah also has a set of things where he's got like 22 or 23 Elijah, let's keep it simple. 22 or 23 conversation killers. Okay. And so there are certain things that different people will say that will kill a conversation.
Sure.
And so what he does also can do is train this. And so all of this could be part of like advanced training for Warmspace for people to learn how to have conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're quite agnostic when it comes to what are the flows and how are we allowing people to arrive at a meaningful connection and conversation after the experience. There's people that are coming from, all different kinds of cultural backgrounds, norms, what have you, and not everything works for everyone. So currently we've got about 15 different experiences. We call them flows, Warmspace flows. And when it started, what it started as was exactly like we're here. There's 3 of us on this Zoom call. And imagine Gino is trying to help us connect. So Gino would hide his video and it'd just be the 2 of us. And maybe Gino's messaging each of us individually on the side, asking, hey, Shane, why don't you ask Elijah about this? And And then after I share something, maybe there's a little bit of chit chat back and forth. Or maybe Gino's prompting you and says, oh, if you find anything interesting about that, maybe there's a, good place to explore. And through that guidance, the chances are, because Gino knows both of us, we'll probably arrive at a pretty cool spot through Gino's guidance. And that was how this project started with the founder, Edric. So he started doing this and just put out an open call to his friends. Hey, who wants to meet up with somebody and be part of this experiment? And people were, having really profound experiences, crying, releasing all this tension, or, making great friendships. And from that, he started to see, can we automate this? Can I do like little pre-recorded snippets and send those out? And then we've continued to iterate and build on this basic concept, which is, if we can provide this facilitation, we can probably guide people to having some nice, meaningful connection and experience at the end of it. So now we're working with, coaches, facilitators, and now working on longer format experiences. So almost like a coaching program. So we just launched our first one of these on Saturday. It's a 16-week long program, and every week there's going to be some kind of, theoretical or conceptual broadcast, which is typically through like a webinar series. So you watch something 10, 15 minutes, and whoever was presenting that conceptual theoretical knowledge has also designed a Warmspace flow where they're providing the facilitation and guidance, interactive elements. So there's some randomization or build your own adventure. It's not so forced. It's like, okay, now talk about your family or talk about your business. So it gives you the space to kind of share what's top of mind for you right now in this moment. And then maybe it's prompting me, oh, is there anything that I'd like to hear more about? Or is there anything that I resonate with? And then through this facilitation, people arrive at this place. So if we can sequence this, our belief is that we'll have the same effect as if someone went to one of these retreats or had a coach for a few months. And then, so that's what we're kind of building right now. So we've been building up what we call our flow builder. It's basically the logic building tool. So allowing people to, record some questions, timing elements, interactive tools, who goes first. We're also now exploring like in-tuple experiences. So it doesn't just have to be paired up. It could be small groups. And then right now it's still an internal tool, but we just started using this for building our current coaching program. But as we continue to kind of polish that and make it easier to use, we can kind of put that into the hands of other experienced coaches, facilitators, guidance, gurus that are aligned with our values, which is really to have some impact in the world in some positive way. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but I would be delighted to hear more about your conscious communication. It sounds like you have already got a nice structure kind of in place and have been doing some of your own work. I'd love to hear more.
Well, it's like, I have a question that seems like
Sure.
I think the algorithm that brings the people's, like, which people come together, like, is it through everyone just joins in and they get placed together, or is there some sort of like, okay, we figured you're this type of person, you're this type of person, we're bringing you together? Have you figured out that type of assessment?
So what we have been doing initially, when we started, it was just connecting people. Doesn't matter. If we could provide good enough facilitation, we can get people to have a good connection. That was our belief. And I think we've kind of done well in proving that. We ask people how they're feeling before they start a session, wherever they came from, how they feel when they finish a session, and then what's their level of connection or affinity with their partner that they just finished this hour-long experience with.
Okay.
And those results have been tremendously good. It's not like the quantitative measures so much as the qualitative experience. So we also ask them for feedback when it's finished, and we have hours of like really heartfelt, touching kind of experiences that people are sharing with us. But going forward, as we continue to grow, I think what we're looking to do is connect people around shared experiences. So one of the programs that we're looking to develop later this year is around new mothers. So, I've got a new person, like, oh my God, what do I do? There's no textbook, or, where do I find somebody that I can share in whatever is real for me right now? And so we also had, we'd also done some in the LGBTQ community and had designed experiences around what might be shared experiences for people when they, first came out. And so through these shared experiences, there's already some expectation of connection or the ability to have empathy or vulnerability, because, I've shared this experience with you.
Right.
Yeah, the end of last year, I just got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called Crohn's. And so that's been something that I'm finding myself connecting with people that are, I guess, empathetic to this. So that's a really recent shared experience, and it's leading me into all these different conversations and things that would not have been accessible to me, 6 months ago. But now that I'm there, it lands differently, and it allows a different type of connection or communication to establish. So through our traumas and shared, experiences, I think there's an opportunity to build connection. I'll stop there. I feel like I've been sharing a lot, but
it's just wonderful to hear, because I think Gino, of course, sees the great connection, because there's a lot of things which I've been playing with that I see immediate connection to, in terms of, let's say, designing flows, or I'm very interested, like, this is kind of like the interface for a bit of a game where you create teams. And so planetary guardians, middle class, ruling class, and ruling class, and kind of like going, how do you bring together teams to be a planetary guardian, save the world sort of stuff. And sounds like what you have, like we've been working on a software program that sort of can take 12 facilitators, have 12 teams, and create something called a shared knowledge community of 144 people. So that's like a cell for a new paradigm economic system. But one of the missing elements is, like, how do you create a team? How do you bring people together? And I think that process, like, it won't be automatic, but it sounds like what you have is a methodology to bring teams together and see, does this work or doesn't work? Do we have affinity and alignment? And that would be such a fun thing to add in to create, like, the ideas, get all these kids or people hyped about creating good things.
Yeah, so I love it. And I think that's where I see so much opportunity with kind of the tool that we're building, and the communities that we're trying to also create using this tool, is that there are so many good ideas that are out there. And it's just a matter of how do you provide access to those ideas and allow people to experience what it is that makes this something that they're interested in, or that they'll resonate with. I'm guessing you've had the opportunity of having a good teacher at some point, like, this was really cool, it's engaging, I like it. Or if you have a bad teacher, I don't like this isn't for me. But it's so much about that, how it's being presented, how it's framed, and how it lands for people. So right now, one of the things that we do internally in our group, we'll have this, we call it circling. Every 2 weeks, we'll have a work meeting that's just talking about where we're at, how we're feeling about things? Like, was there anything that was triggering or frustrating? We start with an appreciation, which is really letting people on the team know what really they valued in the last couple of weeks. You know, oh, I was working really late, and I thank someone for help picking up the slack, or you know, I saw you responded to this problem and really did a great job. Thanks so much for doing that. Or just anything that really is something that is a appreciation. Then after that, we go into a clearing, which is it's kind of where we've been frustrated or what's triggered us or where we're at. And it's not to resolve anything. It's really just to let everybody know where you're at and maybe understand your triggers a little bit better. And that process has been so incredible. And so I think that's something that I wish every company would have some way of practicing. So we're trying to provide this as kind of a tool that's very accessible. Like you don't need anything to do it. Just try and do it. Yes, clearing. So can we make this super accessible to the startups that we're supporting, to our young entrepreneurs? Like bring this into the culture of how you start and operate, so that little things don't build up. You know, you don't have like the princess and the pea, where it's this little knit that just, you know, has a chance to sprout roots and grow and then become gnarly over time. And I think if you're practicing this with your teams, it's phenomenal. But this is something like, can we design an experience? And hey, just do this as part of a monthly meeting. Just jump in and have one of these things, but then make a library of this. Yeah, and over time,
I
love it.
You know, I hope I'm not irritating you by doing this, but it's
no, I love it.
It's because truth. You come to the same conclusions, right? I mean, teams need to clear, and it's what I've done is created 72 conversation types of looking at all the different conversation types within businesses that are necessary for doing business. And what you just said is, hugely missing pieces. And so if you have a typology in a card set, the idea is that you can sort of play with it, but then you add it to software. And exactly what you're doing or talking about is like moving from that one conversation type to another conversation type, and the team having the ability to understand, okay, we're in an appreciation now we're in a clearing, very different convos. And sometimes let's just clear this stuff and then do the appreciation, whatever. And you're looking at the sequence going, okay, like how do you move a team along to get, again, that shared experience of a new type of communication? So it's fantastic that you're doing that. I mean, it's
even sequencing, I think, is important. Like one thing that's cool is we still, every single meeting, we start with the grounding, which is nuts. We're a couple years in now and been doing like, okay, guys, sit in. If I start thinking about like how much man hours we've spent doing this, it kind of drives me nuts because I'm paying attention to the numbers. But at the same time, it's so profound as an influence for our culture. And I think, it's
how many people do you have? Like what stage are you at?
Like 9 people now.
Oh, just 9. Okay.
Yeah, so we're still babies. We started 2 years ago. We incorporated the company Q4 of last year for the purpose of fundraising, and we're just closing our initial. We have a $1 million safe round that we're closing the end of this month.
Fantastic.
4 more days.
Wow, that's exciting. I just want to show you another map. Hopefully not too mapping of, here's the synergy wheel, which actually has 9 parts: research, infrastructure, learning, operations, creativity, synergy, services, interfacing or marketing, stewardship, and communication. So the idea, it's like a universal model, and that you could actually have a person at each place. And an idea is you have a table, so you're sitting at the table, like one person's representing marketing, and I'm sure your team is probably all over the place because it doesn't really always line up that everyone's doing research, right? There isn't one person on research, but the idea being that then you can use this to start to build out your team in terms of like services, that's direct connection to the customer, operations is all this background stuff. So it's just a model, but then
I love this, man.
each one of the conversation types, like there's 8 at each one. So the 72 conversation types come like marketing, you have first contact, you have needs analysis, you have presentation, you have enrollment, you have negotiation, all the things that are around marketing. But then like synergy is the ones you're talking about, the appreciation, the clearing, the synergizing, the synchronizing. So some of the conversation types are very well known, like storytelling, and some are not that well known, like extrusion, which is like whenever a resource leaves the system. You have ingestion when the resource comes in, and extrusion when it comes out, and that links into this James Miller model of 20 critical subsystems for a living system. You know, so I've been really pulling from a lot of different theories to create it, looking to create, you know, the massive model of all models that can sort of integrate. And the beautiful thing with Gino is he has his own communication models at, you know, so many different levels, and that they really fit together. And I think, I'm sure Gino's told you about what he's doing, and I can see a huge, profound connection of like, how do you connect mentors with students? You know, how do you connect someone who's going through a spiritual awakening with someone who's been through it? And like, and that type of specific, you know, connection is massive. But then you're talking like all the people going through disease, or all the people having a baby, or like, people need to talk, but they need to talk with relevance. And needs, and you look at TikTok and there's all these people talking, but it's just one person, and you can't talk to anybody. Like there's these brilliant people, but they've got 50,000 followers or 20,000 comments. And how do you go, hey man, like I know that we've got this great connection, but you can't. So in a lot of the other social media platforms, it's impossible. And I think that's what people are craving. They're craving connection that has relevance.
It's consumption. Yeah, I think most social media it's just about consumption. It's not connection. It used to be. I think when it first started, I remember going on Facebook, you know, when it was still for universities, and you know, you connect with other schoolmates. And then when it opened up, and you'd like find an old friend that you hadn't seen in 20 years, like that was connection. But that's been so lost by the way that the platform has been, you know, turned into a business and monetized through advertising. It is now, you know, social platforms are antisocial, and there is a great need now more than ever, like with politics and COVID and war, like people need to have an opportunity to be connected. And that's kind of what this grew out of, was you know, the few year researching like human flourishing opportunities, with another project Gino helped kind of kickstart with the trans tech community. We work with Nicole early on, and trying to play around. I mean, this was a very interesting path to get where we're at, but I'm really, really happy to now be where I am. And I'm curious.
What's your role? Are you the sort of founder, or the?
I'm one of the. So I'm one of the co-founders. I'm typically doing operations. I'm also trying to find more opportunities to validate what we're doing through research. So what I was talking to Gino about a little earlier. So then we have 2 technical co-founders. One of them's been my friend. We went to undergrad together at ComSci, you know, 25 years ago. And so he's handling all of the front end. So we have a lot of scheduling that happens, and courses and series. And then the back end, which is this guided video platform, not so different from Zoom, but with some little interactive elements. That's by our CPO, who's also here in Singapore. we're a pretty distributed team. And then the founder, Edric, used to be at Google and Twitter before that. Now he's living in Peru for a couple months. I think then he's going to Colombia in another month, and then he'll be up in the Bay Area. So our team is like, this is the first time I've also been on like a super hyper distributed team. We have our head of partnerships is living in Utrecht, right? Or not? She's in Sweden. And we have some guys working in marketing, and they're in London. So it's kind of all over the place. But it's really great. I love knowing that doesn't matter what time it is, someone's working on our project. Like
Right.
that's also really cool. And then trying to find like a good work-life balance and not stress people out, and make sure we have a good culture. I'd love you to take a look at our manifesto.
Okay.
We put that up.
Do you want to share?
No, I mean it's on our website.
Okay.
But I think that does a hell of a job of kind of describing what we're about. And from what you've shared, I think we're in the same tribe.
I think so.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. Sounds wonderful. Everything that I'm hearing.
I'm curious where your current work is being like exposed. How are people?
They like I'm sort of like founder with 25 years work of trying to keep up. Like I've got all these prototypes. Like I'm sort of like the consummate researcher and builder, but not the best completer. And sort of Gino is helping to take into a new realm of actually speaking with other people at the level I'm at, because I've been pretty secluded, and I have like the card sets are the key for me, and it's been quite a journey to like I'm still in my big thing is creating the manual, and so I've had these card sets for almost, if I'm honest, like maybe 12 years, and I still haven't done the manual. And right now I'm waiting for 1,000 little containers from China, and so the next iteration is 250 card sets. And so right now I'm looking at, okay, I got to get the manual and I got to do all the business stuff around that, and I'm not funded, so this has all been on my own dime for the entire time. Okay. So everything I've been doing has been on my own, work. Yeah. And so I've got a group in Saskatchewan that I went there, I don't know, 10 years ago, did some workshops, and she used, there's a way to create a value system with that map I showed you, the synergy map. You can custom design a value system. And I think that's the most powerful thing that that has come through here, because the idea is an ethical business system. So if you have courage at marketing, or you have authenticity at marketing, or you have love at marketing, there's a way to create a direct connection to, let me see if I can find one of the maps. I wanted to show you this, just to show you that this model, I think, is the beginning of everything that I see in terms of creating that distinction of boundary between the personal space, just you, which is kind of like TikTok, just one person doing, then down here one-on-one, where you're just one-on-one with someone, versus the group space where you're in a smaller group, and then the community space, which is the larger space, and then the sacred space, which is more, to bring in the sacred, but not in some huge, crazy way, but just allowing to bring in the sacred, because I think it's important. And that's one of the things about this whole economy is, right, we've taken the sacred out of things, and because of that, we're doing all this insanity. So to me, looking at what you're doing, that these are distinctly different spaces, and your protocols, and obviously if you're working with a team, it's going to be different from if it's one-on-one, and I'm sure you're aware of that and using it, but this just gives that map of distinction. And then again, you can program it with values. So if I have, let's say, wisdom at personal space, and love at one-on-one, humor at group, and justice at community, and surrender at sacred, that's my current sort of value system. It's a way of creating a value system. And so just like you said, we want to align our values with people and companies. That's important these days, right? to me, we want to build a world sort of without violence and things like that. And certain companies aren't doing that.
I'm wondering if you've been like, this seems like it might be a great framework for underlying a DAO.
Yeah, I've had it's a framework. Like, and here's just to show you, sort of like, so this is Lori Renton's the woman in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, small little town, and she created this value system over 10 years ago, and she ran her whole business from it. And if you see like goodness at research and mercy at infrastructure and life at service, it's clarity at synergy, it's a very unique, distinct value system that.
Hey guys, sorry. Hey, I'm gonna duck out a bit, but hey, it's couple things. Number one, Shane, Elijah's great. Would love to explore developing a collaboration there, and just fun. Happy to do experiments, and would love to be an advisor to your company too. I'd like to use it for our master's program, and then for the project I told you about before. Remember the Meta project? That project has its genesis. Elijah, a lot has happened with it. I have to update you, but that project has its genesis in a long conversation I had with Elijah, which I think is recorded.
I think, I've recorded all our conversations.
Is that recording number one then? Is that number one?
Well, that's the genesis of the idea. So Peter Dingle and I have been refining it quite a bit. But there was one conversation that we had. It's the one where Graham came in as well too, Elijah. Do you have that one?
I'm pretty sure, I'll go through my stuff and find it for you.
Hey, that one, if this goes well, will be very, very valuable, because that's the genesis of what's now called the Meta project. It's M3ETA.
So now you got the overall Archer. Can I just ask you, the synergy map I sent you, I put all the stuff together. Did you remember? The thing I need. We'll talk later about that.
So there's the Meta stuff. And then the other thing is I need the new version of your write-up to get you into the university.
Okay.
Right. So that one I have to, because that project closes at the end of June. So that money runs out at the end of June. So we have to get that up quickly. So there's that. And then Nova can tell you. So there's that. Nova can help with that too and everything. And then, but the thing about that is, and we could explore bringing Shane's project into that too, because the training stuff, take a look at, you guys are having a conversation right now, which is wonderful, but Shane will also walk you through, or maybe even get his girlfriend to walk you through, give you an experience of Warmspace.
Okay.
Okay, so they've raised $1 million. You'd be be great to tack on some of the stuff that you do and do it like in a kind of a joint venture co-marketed way or something like this, because it's a great platform for communication stuff. So that's that. And then for Meta, I'll try to create a group. Peter Dingle is the other key person that we're doing, and what I'm doing for the first one. And so basically what we're going to do, it's like Holistic Visions, it's going to be 144 people. 2 people have a conversation. We add 1 person, and then we add one, and we record it. And then we're all going to have a token. It's going to be a DAO. It'll be a token and everything. And then what we're going to do is for each person that comes in, like the first 15, it's like $150 a person. The next, it'll be $300 and everything. And what we're doing for our initial question is it'll only be in Hong Kong. And the initial question is, given the development of Web3 around the world and how it's going to disrupt a lot of things, what is Hong Kong's role in the global ecosystem? And so we're just going to build all these top Web3 people in Hong Kong. I just found another guy today who sold a music NFT for $1.5 million US. And so we'll get him. So there are all of these people that are here in Hong Kong. So we'll basically, by the end of it, we'll have like a who's who in all these different areas in Web3. And then I'm doing this, on my capacity at the university, but then we're using this to build the tool set. So TESFA, I've got a team building the tools to support this kind of thing. And then we're designing the game mechanics for onboarding people. And then while you're in it, so one of the things we're going to do is if you're in it, in the tokenomics, so maybe like each person is going to get 1,000 tokens when they join, but then if you do like a warm space with another person in the community, you get like another 100 tokens or something like that. And so that like encourages people to kind of get to know each other in a one-on-one basis and everything. And then if you participate, if you're one of the 6 people participating in the meeting, the weekly meeting that's recorded, you will either get paid or you can auction to take up one of the slots, because some of them, after we have if we have like 100 people, there are only 6 slots for the thing, there might be some competition for that. And so we're kind of designing the games for all of that. And so all of this we're putting together kind of in a design document. And we're going to pilot it with this meta, so meta, it's Web3 meta to figure out meta, to figure out what the next meta is. And so that's the meta cubed. And so it's meta, the 3 is an E. So it's meta, which is like meeting people. And it's also, if you look at it, it's me, ETA, estimated time arrival. And so the idea is it provides a context for people to get to know each other and to help facilitate transformation.
Awesome.
That's what's behind the name. And so you've got that first video, but we're developing this and we're putting all of this together. But it started with our conversation with that thing. Remember, we're going to pull that guy in Boston over and everything like that. And Graham showed up. And so it started with that. But then in my teaching my class and talking to Peter Dingle, we realized, a house doesn't make a home. Web3 technologies don't build the community. And so how do you really build the community? And this is the way to do it. Mm. And so we know who came in, we know who brought them in and everything. And so, yeah.
It's exciting.
All right.
Exciting.
So that's all I wanted to catch up with you, but I'll leave the 2 of you alone. So there's a lot. You should check out his experience and then you should show him, I know you've got the crazy stuff, the way out there stuff for organizations. He may be able to grok that, but the basic things is how do you communicate? And that other diagram in terms of the trust map and all that other stuff, yeah. Show him all of that stuff.
Okay.
That's okay. They're all about interrelating and building frameworks for people to have authentic conversations.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'll see you guys.
Thank you, Gino. Great to see you. Wow. it's funny that I think
amazing, Gino.
Each tech, like you, like each one of us has sort of like, a piece of the puzzle. And, when the people with the piece of the puzzle come together, it's such a different conversation, right? Because there's, you're looking for connection points. And my thing has been looking at language structure as like the inflow matrix operating system is basically a language structure that then waiting for the technology to catch up. Like all these years I've been, again, trying to figure out a holistic model that can organize any job, any organization, any community, and then align them together in something called the shared knowledge community. And nothing, there was no tech back when the idea was there. The tech didn't kind of, nothing was there. Now there's so much but it's how do you, integrate data flow? How do you put the pieces together in such a manner that, okay, here's your function of that, here's that function of that, and then how do they come together? But I think what you have, there's so much potential in order for connection. If I can just tell you a little story, in Victoria, they had this something called the Wisdom Council. And what they would do is they send out 500 letters out to random people in the city. And there would be a stewardship team of about 12 people that were doing this. And so they sent out these invitations. They're looking for about 10 to 20 people to come together for a weekend. And they sent it out. They did it 3 years in a row. And then what happens is the people come together for a weekend and they've got to come out with like a statement. They have to come up with something. But the stewardship team doesn't tell them what they have to do. They just give the parameters for how. And at the end of each wisdom council, they always came up with the same thing. And what it was everyone wanted deeper connection with people. That was it. Like, of all the things that could have come up,
Yeah.
right, over and over again, is saying that sort of hit me as, this is what all humans want. Like, we want more love, we want more appreciation, we want more connection, and Warmspace just, wow, sounds like you've nailed it in terms of that.
Well, I mean, I thank you for that. I hope we are on the right path and that we are able to really touch people that haven't had access to this kind of connection in a way that does a lot of healing. And yeah, I and my family has some. I spent my when I was young, I'd go over to family friend's house for every Thanksgiving for, I don't know, years and years and years. And now our families aren't talking to one another because of political stuff.
Right.
And it blows my mind that something that's been politicized has torpedoed and exploded like decades long relationships.
Yeah.
And I think it's a result of kind of the way that we're connected now and the way that we receive information. My mother is also kind of in the evangelical Christian anti-vax Trump loving kind of narrative, and it feels now that she's getting her medical advice from her church, which I went to church for decades, never once had any sermon on healthcare.
Right.
And I'm fine with different views of medicine, but I don't think it's the place of religion, to be providing healthcare. So like the world has really gotten into this really strange kind of place now, and I think a lot of healing is necessary to kind of help bring us back. And I don't know how to do that, but I think that part of the answer is allowing people to sit down without all of this stuff in different environments with different frames and have a chance to reconnect. Because without that, I don't see the healing happening, and I don't see I don't know how to help make it through this. And just my own personal journey in the past couple years, and even within the last 2 years of working on Warmspace, the way I connect, the way I relate, the way I communicate, I think has changed for the better. And I want everybody to taste it and get you've got some connection and you've got some connection, be the Oprah of connection. I don't know. How do we spread it out there? I'm curious. It looks like a lot of what you've built is a business framework, and like more in the enterprise business startup space.
Well, I mean, to me, I was looking to sort of affect change, and I'd rather change. Like, my interest is more in the educational perspective, but to me, if you didn't affect the economic one, you kind of have to affect business in a sense. And so I was really going through a lot of spiritual literature and a lot of business literature on maps, sort of like Ken Wilber did, I think, when he came up with his 4 quadrants. Have you studied Ken Wilber at all, or do you know his work at all?
Not any. I know the name, but I'm not super familiar with.
Well, he seemed to do the same thing of looking at maps and then looking at, all these conceptual models. And so I got really fascinated by conceptual models, and then looking at, again, within the spiritual realm and then the business realm, values were the most important thing, it seemed, for that. And so having that sort of, it kind of came in where you could connect the value with the concept. And this was like, I haven't seen it anywhere else. Like, usually values are on their own, then you have business concepts on their own, but they're not connected together. And so values seem to be at the core of a human being, whether, you know, for who we are, like, do we value honesty?
Yeah.
Do we value integrity, right? And so, I mean, that was just part of the research, but it was like looking at, we need to have a way to connect the way our mind is organized with the way software is organized. And so much software with the languaging they were using, it just like, I remember when Microsoft Word first came out, and I just, why file edit, like it was just so foreign to me. And I wanted to reorganize everything, but I couldn't. So I just started going into the language, and I'm not a programmer. So you're stuck right into just designing from a conceptual point of view. So I've got tons of designs, but I haven't been able to build them. And so I know Nova, who Gino knows, we started working on a few projects together. He's the first programmer I was working where he would sort of like take the designs and build it. So we came up with this divination system that's out there, and we're working on that Planetary Guardian chat. I call it chat stream, and it could, I think there could be a connection with what you have in terms of, that was the idea of creating teams to then go on missions and sort of like focusing on getting people together to do missions, to do goodness kind of thing, and then to play it as a game, and then to introduce, okay, here's your value system, and here's your business model, or like help people to create a new economic system was the basis for what I've been working on. And this thing is the main map for the shared knowledge community, having 12 originators, 12 entrepreneurs, 12 coaches, 12 tech gurus, 12 artists, 12 healers, 12 planetary guardians, 12 illuminators or marketers, 12 mediators, 12 facilitators, 12 youth, and 12 elders. So looking at these jobs are never really brought together, right? And you've got this, the corporation is the cell of the old paradigm. So we need a cell for the new paradigm where people's gifts are the most important thing rather than products. And so within this language structure, that's the main sort of like product relationships is the key to the whole economic system. What are you building and who's doing it? And then if you shift product into gift, all of a sudden you're shifting from a product-centered economic system into a human-centered economic system. And so for me, language and structure and how you put it together, was everything. And so that's just what I've been playing with for all these years. But I as an inventor, you kind of get lost from your own world. And Gino is one of the first sort of people at his level that is like, because no one's seen my work. Like my work is not seen. Like when you ask where does it go, I haven't. There's a big history around it, but the world was not ready for what I had, and it just seems it's getting ready now, and I'm getting ready. But I was showing this stuff to people before, and they're just like circles, like what, like just even organizing in circles was a massive thing.
Yeah. So you're currently trying to work on the guide that helps
the
people
navigate,
navigate the manuals, like so.
Yeah.
So is that something that you see like this year, or like you mentioned you got some cards coming in?
Yeah, like
I'd love to get a set from you. I'd also love to, maybe set up. It's where are you right now?
I'm in Vancouver.
You're in Vancouver. Okay, I'm in Singapore, so I'm on the same, just same with Gino. But it's coming up. It's just past midnight, and I've got a conference that I've got to get some sleep for. But I would love to arrange another time to kind of walk you through Warmspace, maybe experience a Warmspace session with, it could be someone else from my team or me, either way. And then I'd love to continue learning more about your models and see where there might be some good collaboration opportunities. It doesn't have to be like right now, but whenever it seems like it's ready.
I'm excited.
And
I'm like full, like if I feel this connection, I go full on. So I'm and there's a lot of there's a lot of sort of amazing opportunities around right now. And, you know, I want to jump into them all in a sense of, I've been waiting a long time for this. So, and you guys sound perfect. And so I'd be willing to put the time in to figure out whatever it is to find, because I think that something that I'm offering is like offline tools that then can integrate with online tools. And then I can actually, what I've been doing with the card sets is, if I can show you here, the way, part of my business model that I'm working with is to have anyone can brand it. So if I make a partnership, you could sell the cards, we could have Warmspace.io on that, and you could, you know, you can have a whole marketing campaign where the card sets go with your online, offline, and we could figure out ways to do people at home that are connecting, and then they connect online. There's so many things that we could do for what you're talking about. So I'm looking for, you know, partnerships at a high level to get the work out there. So
I'd love to continue having some exploratory conversations. We just, like I said, like 3 days ago, we launched our first coaching program. It went great. The tech all worked. We had the most consistent positive experiences of people that had gone through it. So we're really happy where we're at in terms of like this was a big milestone for us. And the rest of this year, we're really focused on growing our collaborations with facilitators and coaches and people that would help us design these kind of guided experiences, along with some presentation material. I could probably show you some of this stuff as well at our next conversation, next catch up. And I think we're also trying to explore what might happen in the Web3 somehow. I'm trying to explore, how do I validate this stuff? So is there, I'm looking at some software tools right now of how we can go beyond just anecdotal or self-reported data to really validate this.
like research
longer
mechanisms?
term, I think, so looking at, you know, facial recognition, you know, what do they call it? Facial emotion analysis. And there's like, if we could layer this and find a school or a university that's got some research labs that are investigating communication, then we could kind of tie in and maybe use like EEGs or skin, you know, galvanic skin response monitors, or these types of things. But these are all kind of exploratory areas at this point. But I think we have tremendous opportunity. We're still a small team, you know, like I said, there's 9 of us distributed all over. But I can see a lot of, like, everything that you're sharing there. It sounds like it's so aligned with the company that we're trying to build internally, like as who we are and what we embody and the values that we care about. So I'm really looking forward to how we can kind of explore some collaborations. And longer term, I think we're trying to find out how we bring this back into enterprise. Enterprise has a whole lot of different types of requirements and security, like you know, email addresses and where records are stored. So it becomes and then the HR departments typically want their own type of reports and metrics, and gets into the more businessy side of how do you bill it, how do you charge for it.
Right.
For a long time, we were exploring just working as a nonprofit, and like, can we create this product and provide it into the world to address the need that we see out there. Ultimately, we chose a different path, and now we're, you know, experimenting with this coaching program as our first business model. But
I think I can, like, what I'm good at is sort of taking it all in and then coming up with a sort of map that puts it together and links into what I got, and then look at what you got. And so I can help with systems design quite a bit.
Cool.
And if the project excites me, I get really into it. So
yeah. Well, can I get your email address?
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll connect.
Do you want me to just put it in the chat, I guess?
Yeah, put it in the chat. Yeah. And then I'll give you my and then here's my you can use this for like Telegram or WhatsApp. That's an easy,
if you want to set up a time that works for you, it looks like I think your mornings and my night is probably good.
What time is it for you now?
It's 9:15 in the morning.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So if we reverse that, I think I was having another meeting with someone in Hong Kong, and I was 6 and they were 9. So if you do a morning and I'm an evening, so
I'm in my conference this week until Friday, and then Sunday I'm heading to Sweden. So I will, let's be in touch. We probably do something next week, and I'll figure out the time zones and everything. Such a pleasure meeting you, man, and I really look forward to our next call.
Yeah, that's exciting. Huge kudos for Gino, the marketing guru of connections, and I look forward to our next call.
Yeah, I'm shooting you a.
And what I can do is a lot of my stuff is I love recording these things because I think it's a story that's, 10 years from now, we'll look back at this conversation and go, holy that's where it happened, right? So I'll send you this, and if you want to send this to someone on your team or something, the call just has a lot in here. So do you like, when you connect them in the Warmspace, do you have an output of a video that's a recorded call? You must, right? No? Huh.
No, it's a data privacy and security. Like the only thing that we capture is at the end of the experience, we ask people if they would like to share some feedback, and that can be done through a text. They can leave their voice, or they can record a little video. The rest of the session, we're not recording.
I'm just curious about something in terms of, having, if everyone agreed to it, you could create web TV shows. You could have the New Mother web TV show, and then have all these people who've recorded, huge repository of knowledge sharing.
Earlier on, we did record things for marketing. So we had like, are you okay with recording this? Are you okay? And then it's still authentic. Like I did some of those. We'd done something with Miss Universe pageant where the different contestants were connecting with each other. We've done that with some local, like Singapore celebrity influencers. But ultimately, I think as long as we can create a place where we know that it's a safe space and that it's, not going to be put out there for the world to see, because people don't know what's going to come up. So there might be places where it's like, yes, under certain situations, we can enable recording and we'll capture that. But
that might be an actual revenue stream in terms of your, you're probably going to have your basic model, right? And then you'll have your additions. Anyway, I'm just curious because I'm really into like what we just recorded. It was an amazing call, right? So, I mean, I see the value, high value in that.
Yeah, I think there might be opportunities to do that, but we really need to, internally as a team, we need to think through that of what's the purpose, what's the intention. And if it's for making revenue, then it might not be part of that free platform, that free offering. If, one of the other things we were thinking of is, could we take these conversation and create some generative art out of the conversation? Like what prompts people selected, or how they interacted, and then generate something that's unique that they can take away with them to remember this. Or maybe, you know, you can record yourself, but you can't record the other person. So all of these things are out there that, you know, for us to explore, but they're distractions from the core offering right now.
Right.
But, you know, trying to put things out on the roadmap and execute, make sure we're doing the right thing with our, you know, with our resources. And yeah,
A lot of decisions, a lot of decisions,
yeah,
a lot of design decisions.
but it's fun.
Okay.
It's yeah.
I know you got to
Hey,
get to
so-
bed, and we could talk forever. Okay, see you, Shane.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Bye.